Good morning, Nigeria. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2025, and you're tuned into The Break Live on Dominion Television. I am Oluwayemi Adelakun.
And I am Pat Aito. It's midweek. The pulse of the nation is loud, and we are right here to give clarity, context, and conversations to headlines shaping your world.
We begin this morning with a story sparking outrage and deep concern in Anambra. Vigilantes brutalized and street a female corps member despite her NYC ID card. It's not just about one individual. It raises bigger questions about security, accountability, and the fragile protection of our youth in national service.
Well, coming up, it will be daybreak news and the story you need to know, not the spin you don't. Then afterwards, we'll bring you newspaper headlines and analysis where we unpack the narratives behind the ink.
And at 8 o'clock, a big story, new colonialism in Africa, unmasking the new chains of dependency and charting a path to true independence. Joining us is Dr. Monsuro Laliko Muritala, Associate Professor and Acting Head of the Department of History, University of Ibadan. He's an authority on economic and urban history, and today we'll ask the tough questions. Is Africa free in name but chained in practice? Who truly benefit from our so-called independence?
We'll also round off with Trend Watch, your chance to see what Nigerians are saying, posting and debating online from every corner of the country.
It's midweek, the politics is raw and the stakes couldn't be higher. This is Daybreak Live, where truth meets accountability. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Emmy. How are you?
I'm very well, just you're good.
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, what are we talking about this morning? I think we have a case of a corps member that was stripped naked in Anambra. And of course, I don't know if you watched the video at all, because the video is a very sad one, honestly. Looking at the fact that, despite the fact that they were able to show their ID cards and then, made it known to those men that they are corps members, and they were still treated that way. I don't think anyone deserves to be treated that way, even if you found them guilty of any crime whatsoever, male or female. I feel, they have a right to speak. They have a right to, talk about the things that they want to talk about. I mean, after the whole thing, after stripping her naked, they even bundled her into the vehicle. And I saw another lady behind that was even trying to say, what are you doing, and the likes. I think it's a very sad one. We should not allow that in the country.
Well, for me, I think I saw it, and I was wondering what could have led to that. Reading through the story, I learned that those ones that are just vigilante, I mean, there's a popular name that were being called in Anambra State.
Agune Chamber.
Yeah, they were actually chasing one person who they suspect to be a kidnapper or a criminal person, like that, and they suspected that the person ran through one of the apartments, so they wanted to raid. And for the lady to just come out and say, oh, sorry, this is Copper's Lodge and this is my ID card, I guess it boils down on the fact that they were actually angry that such person could run away from them. So the only thing is just the transfer of aggression. But that shouldn't be. It's condemnable. I mean, condemnable in its entirety, because a lady, for that matter, not even a guy. If it's a guy, will feel like, okay, the Yoruba will say, Umararagbaya. But a lady, even showing you an ID card, and you could not even acknowledge that. Gone are those days when you see Copper and the kind of respect you give to them, like, oh, they are Omojoba, you're like, oh, give them the old total respect. But these days, we don't have it. And we begin to ask questions. We begin to look at what went wrong. Where are we now? What happened to those days that we give accolades, we give respect, we give honor to the corps members? But these days, you don't even see that again.
Normally, you are not even supposed to do that to a ECOM member. I think you're very right, because there was a case that happened and some members of a ECOM band were arrested alongside a ECOM member. And when they found out that there's a ECOM member amongst them, they had to start begging, because ordinarily you are not supposed to do that. If at all that person is found guilty, you arraign them to court.
Because that person wouldn't have been there if
definitely
if he or she has not been like, okay, I want to serve my father's land.
Yes.
The serving his or father's land will turn to something. But one thing I just like is, well, a new development said that those vigilantes have been arrested.
And I
don't only hope they want to arrest them, but you know, Nigeria, for who we are, that we always tell you that we want to investigate until everybody will forget about it. Remember that we have the issue of Emansin, and now Emansin issue is gone. We have another one here. We have, I can't remember her name now. We have it here. Before you know it, under 2 days or at most 2 weeks, that one will go again. But then I want proper investigation. Let them conduct a thorough investigation and let those who want found culpable, I mean the vigilantes, to face the music of the law. Not only face the music, dance to the music of the law, so that that will serve as a deterrent to others. I could see reason why federal government does not want to align with the state government, like, okay, well, let's have state policing. If vigilante can be doing this.
Imagine if this set of guys, you know, climb up to the rank of maybe ASP or maybe IG. What will happen to Nigeria? It will be a very serious issue, because if they cannot undo, you know, minor issues like this. Yes, I mean, yesterday a man, the special advisor to the governor, Sorido, on community security, Ken Emake, came to speak about the issue. I mean, on national television, saying that, you know, they were trying to, you know, catch some cultists and some criminal guys, and then they ran to the building. But still, that does not give you the right to do that to anyone, not even male or female. You know, you're not supposed to do. We are still dealing with a master, just like you said, and she came out recently to say that. I
don't know if that is what is trending now. You naked women.
I mean, I don't know what led to that.
I don't understand. What led to that. You rip them of their dignity. Why? What for?
What will happen to this lady now in 5 or 10 years? The master said that her pictures are being used as stickers, and then she's not finding it funny.
She cannot go out.
Same thing will happen to this lady now. I don't know why people don't think about consequences before they carry out some actions. If at all they are guilty of any crime.
And you know the country we know the country we have stigmatization.
Definitely.
It should be there forever. That's, but we are in a country whereby we don't take rehabilitation so seriously. I think if it is in the other world, they will, because that thing will traumatize the lady, like, oh, my picture is everywhere.
Yeah.
How can I face my people?
I don't think these people are properly trained, because they are called Agune Temba and Anambra. I don't think they're properly trained. And of course, this is the best time for the governor to look into this certain operation. I mean, they can all be sacked. I mean, so that I don't think these kind of people should have that kind
exactly
of power.
What the man said.
I don't think they should have this kind of power.
That's what the man said, that, so, well, they've detained them, but not only detained them, and that's what I am saying, that they should face and dance to the music of the law.
Definitely, because when you hire in people who are not disciplined, you know, you tend to have issues like this. All right, we hope that we'll have, you know, more information on this matter, and of course, we promise to keep you abreast, you know, going forward on this matter. That, you know, should not be done to anyone, regardless, you know, whether male or female, short or tall or old or young. Of course, it's not something that we want to see in our country. And this trend, let's put a stop to it at this point in time. Right now, we want to take a short break, and when we come back, we give you the weather report. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, I welcome you back. This is Studio Break Live on Dominion Television. And of course, we're here to give you the weather report across some certain states in the country. Let's start from Ilori East Kwara, where is expected to be around 22 degrees Celsius. And of course, in the morning, it might come down to around or come up to around 25 degrees Celsius and then cloudy around 7%. In the afternoon, we might expect or we might see 29 degrees Celsius. And of course, in the evening, 24 degrees Celsius. And of course, overnight, we are expecting about 23 degrees Celsius. And in the afternoon, we're expecting mostly cloudy, around 15%. In the evening, mostly cloudy, around 13%. And of course, in the overnight, we are expecting showers around 59%. So do well to prepare if you're around that area.
All right, so let's quickly look at what the weather is saying. As from Ekiti State, we have this, and then the morning is going to be cloudy, of a precipitation of 99%, and of course in the afternoon it will be 27 degrees Celsius, and that shows that it's going to rain, and precipitation of 64%. And at evening it will be 22 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy at 21%, and overnight it's going to be raining during that period, and of course with the precipitation of 66%. And that's all the weather from Ekiti this morning.
All right, let's cross over to Kaduna North. Kaduna, weather is expected to be around 22 degrees Celsius. And of course, in the morning, 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 7%. In the afternoon, 25 degrees Celsius, scattered storms, around 54%. And of course, in the evening, 22 degrees Celsius, and showers is expected to be around 41%. Overnight, 21 degrees Celsius, cloudy, around 22%. Do well to prepare if you're around that area.
And from Kaduna, we head straight to our very own state, talking about Ibadan. So Ibadan here, morning. This morning is going to be cloudy. I actually know that if you're out there, you can feel it and you can see it. With the precipitation of 9%, and in afternoon it's gonna be 29 degrees Celsius. That's few showers, precipitation of 33%, and in evening it will be 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, over 16%, and overnight it will be 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy, and that's comes with the precipitation of 22%.
All right, let's cross over to Lagos State, and of course, what is expected to be around 24 degrees Celsius in the morning.
25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and that's of 10%. And overnight, 23 degrees Celsius. So we expect few showers in that in Abeokuta of that's precipitation of 31%.
All right, thank you. That's all we can take concerning the weather report for this morning. Please do well to stay with us. We are just getting started. It's time for the break news. We'll be right back.
Ever dreamed of creating the next virus series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class, it's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV, make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito. The Federal Ministry of Education has released admissions into federal unity colleges across Nigeria through a fully automated admission process. According to a statement released by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Boriowo Folashade, the initiative aimed to enhance transparency, efficiency, and capacity management in secondary school placements. Folashade said the reform is spearheaded by the Education Minister, Dr. Tunji Alausa, to ensure admissions align with each school's approved capacity and address past issues of overcrowded facilities. The initiative ensured that all admissions are now fully automated and strictly conducted within the approved capacity of each schools, eliminating previous challenges of overstretched facilities. The Vietnamese government has called for deeper cooperation with Nigeria in trade, agriculture, education, and security. Vietnam ambassador to Nigeria, Bill Hung, made the call in Abuja during an event marking the 80th anniversary of the August Revolution and the 80th anniversary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Vietnam. Hung stated that Nigeria has fertile land, abundant water, and a young labor force. With the right cooperation framework, we can build strong ties that benefit both nations. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has directed that all mobile phones must be completely switched off during aircraft takeoff and landing. In the post on X, the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection at the NCAA, Michael Archimong, announced that regulations on the use of phones and other electronic devices during flights in Nigeria have now been harmonized. The directive follows an emergency meeting held with industry stakeholders. The grand finale of the Cocoa House at 60th celebration took place at the historic Cocoa House in Ibadan during prominent figures from across the Southwest. In attendance were representatives of Southwest governors, officials of the Development Agenda for Western Nigerian Dawn Commission, shareholders, and executives of Oodua subsidiaries. The chairman of Oodua's Investment Company Limited, OICL, Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, reaffirmed the company's vision to become a world-class conglomerate, highlighting the major projects, including the refurbishment of Airport Hotel, the expansion of Premier Hotel, and a $10 billion cocoa deal. The Group Managing Director of OICL, Abdurrahman Yunusa, emphasized that the anniversary serves as a challenge for today's leaders to emulate the courage and enterprise of the region's founding fathers. Notable guests at the event included former Minister of Industry, Chief Onikepo Akande, and key stakeholders who pledged continued support for sustaining Cocoa House legacy as a symbol of Western Nigeria's economic heritage. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor K. Adebowale, has charged the class of 2025 in medical laboratory science to uphold professionalism, respect humanity, and never forget the oath sworn. Professor Adebowale appealed during the induction ceremony for the Battle of Medical Laboratory Science held at the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, Oyo State.
The event witnessed the induction of 27 new members into the medical laboratory science profession.
Promote the study and activity of medical laboratory science by promotion of the values, aims, and objectives of Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria.
The management of the University of Ibadan encouraged the graduating class to be worthy ambassadors of the institution, uphold the ethics of their profession, and serve humanity with diligence.
They are not merely technicians, they are scientists, diagnosticians, and vital pillars of modern healthcare. You are the disease detectives, the providers of the physical data, upon which up to 70% of medical decisions are made. Therefore, your hands lack the power to identify the pathogen threatening life. Your precision rests the ability to diagnose cancer early, offering hope for cure.
In a world where we are grappling with emerging diseases, antimicrobial resistance, and the ever-evolving demands of precision medicine, your role can never be overemphasized nor undermined.
Induction is not done by proxy. That is, you swear and oath that you are bound with the rules and regulations of Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria. So that induction is not done by proxy. You have to be there by person.
Some of the graduates shared their joy and appreciation for the experiences that shaped their academic journey.
You should remember that sometimes we win. Sometimes we don't, and sometimes only time will tell. But we should remain hopeful that our sacrifices are worth it and our best has been enough.
Licenses to practice were formally presented to the inductees, while outstanding students received special recognition and awards for academic excellence. Aino Grace, Dominion News.
And in business, the Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) has unveiled a new investment platform called Investopedia, which is designed to unlock capital, generate employment, accelerate infrastructure development, and spur economic growth across the country. Speaking at the launch in Abuja, NGF Chairman and Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak stressed the need for Nigeria to harness both global and African capital financing opportunities. According to Abdulrazak, who was represented by Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule, the platform was specifically designed to position Nigeria as an attractive destination for investors and promote inclusive growth. And in sport, the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olopade, has announced the intention of Bayelsa State to host the 2028 National Sports Festival. Olopade was in Yanagwa, the capital of Bayelsa, to assess the readiness of the state to host the biennial competition. He had the privilege of engaging with key stakeholders as Bayelsa State officially declared its intention to host the National Sports Festival in 2028. It was discussed that the state's readiness and vision
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@domain.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live. Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful
1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, good morning once again and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Of course, we welcome you to the newspaper analysis, headlines and analysis segment where we read through, we'll let you know what the papers are saying, and of course, we'll be joined by analysts when the time comes. Well, let's quickly look at what the papers are saying. Vanguard has this one U.S. report raises concerns over security justice in Nigeria, with riders identifies lengthy pre-trial detention, delays as major temporary detention. And away from that, we have this one from the Vanguard as well. Our Catholic Church attackers add links with foreign terrorist group. DSS tells court. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard as well. And from the Vanguard, we have this. Abuja court freezes 4 bank accounts linked to former NNPCL boss, Maliki Ari. And we have this as well. Vision restored. Our Vanguard is changing lives. That's on page 7 of the paper. And on page 26 of the paper, we have the security issue there. Bandits killed killed 13 worshippers in Katsina Mosque. That's on page 26 of the Vanguard. And beside it, we have the NBA Rise AGF demands release of Osun local government funds. And that's on page 10 of the paper as well. Then politics, Amechi's presidential bid dead on arrival, according to Wike. That's on page 11 of the paper. And lastly, the economic side, we have Edu Cardoso strengthen physical monetary partnership, and that's on page 19 of the paper. We head straight to the Guardian, and the Guardian is having this one. Guardian is coming with this big one: floods, lack of potable water, worsen cholera epidemic in 34 states. That's on page 6 of The Guardian. And the ASU braces for strike as protests to rock branches. And that's on page, that's panorama page. That's on page 2 of The Guardian as well. The politics aspect of it, we have PDP convention. Wike's camp meets today to take position, and that's on page 3 of the paper. And beside it, we have NCAA revises phone regulations on domestic flights. That's on page 3 of the paper as well. And we have NBA monarchs urge Tinubu to intervene in withheld Osun funds, and that's on page 5 of the paper. And away from that, we have President talking here, presidency talking here. Suko for 172 million subscribers as Tinubu cancels planned 5% telecoms tax. That's a good one. And we have 60% of public school teachers lack basic digital skills, says UBEC, and that's on page 4 of The Guardian. And we have this one too, page 5 of The Guardian. Or church invaders add links with foreign terrorist group, DSS tells court. And away from The Guardian, we head straight to The Punch. A Punch is coming with this one, big one here. Capital projects crumble as states cut spending. And we have a rider. Government cites insecurity, red tape for 2.7 trillion naira capital spending in 6 months amid rising travel wage bills. And according to a report from Punch, procurement delays, worsening insecurity, and rising cost of goods and services have emerged as major reason several state governments failed to meet their capital expenditure targets in the first 6 months. And findings from states' second quarter budget implementation report reveal that capital spending across many states remains significantly below expectations, despite ambitious budgetary provision designed to accelerate infrastructure growth. So there is a breakdown there. A fresh breakdown of the state's government expenditure between January and June 2025 shows that 31 states collectively disbursed 2.75 trillion naira for capital projects. So the budgets, however, the figure represents only a fraction of 17.51 trillion naira they had budgeted for capital expenditure in 2025 fiscal year. Well, the underperformance has delayed critical infrastructure, like what the rider said, delayed critical infrastructure projects and deepened hardship for citizens who rely on improved roads, schools, hospitals, and water systems. So that's a headline actually talking about how the capital project crumble as states cut spending, and with the rider, government inciting security, red tape for 2.7 trillion naira capital spending in 6 months amid rising travel wage bill. Then we have this one from The Punch as well. Well, you want to read, pick a copy of The Punch and flip through page 2 of the paper. And we have this from The Punch as well. 36 governor unite to woo foreign investors, via new platform. Said they will to foreign investors to via new platform. That's on page 17 of the paper. And as well, we have this one. It's virtually in all the papers this morning. Former  spokesman canvasses tax relief for media houses. Oh, Really? Well, that's on page 30 of the Punch as well. And beside it, we have our church attackers have ties to Al-Shabaab. DSS talking there. That's on page 7 of the Punch. And by-election winners get certificates of return on Thursday. INEC is talking there. And that's on page 9 of the Punch. And let's go to the top corner of the Punch. We have 2027 showdown. Wike fires shots at Amechi. Babachio Lawal trashes ADC. Nigerian Tribune is coming with this big banner. NBA demands immediate release of Osun local government funds, writes AGF. And 2 riders there. Threatens legal action against federal government. And Osun Traditional Council seeks Tinubu's intervention. And that's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. And away from that, we have this one too. Sokoto boat accident. Mishap, 22 still missing. And a rider there. NEMA confirms recovery of additional 3 bodies, and that's on page 25 of the Nigerian Tribune. We'll head straight to the politics. APC PDP on the fire as Falana warns of global fallout from Canada's terrorism judgment, and that's on page 4 of the same paper. And down below that, we have this: all electronic devices must be switched off during takeoff landing. NCAA saying that, says no to airplane mode, and that's on page 3 of the paper. And CSO seek independent body to select INEC chairman, and that's on page 24 of the same paper. And down below it, we have Customs Shippers Council meet over seaport delays, demurrage charges, and that's on page 6 of the same paper. And we'll move to the top corner of the paper. Our church attack court grants DSS request to hide identity of witnesses, and that's on page 4 of the same paper. And beside it, lastly, alleged NNPCL fraud, court freezes 4 bank accounts linked to Mele Kyari. And away from that, we head straight to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper comes with this one: government move financial system, and a rider, we are in Japan to seek opportunities. That's on page 2 as well of the paper. We have Edu Cardoso meet to strengthen fiscal monetary policy synergy, and that's on page 2 as well of the paper. And top of the paper, we have this: probe of 661 million naira. Court freezes former NNPCL boss Kyari's account. That's on page 4 of the paper. Or Catholic Church attackers linked to foreign terror group, and that's on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And lastly, Alaafin versus Ooni, who blinks first in Royal Rumble? That's a question to be answered, and that's on page 5 of the Nation. And away from the Nation, we head straight to the Daily Global, and the Daily Global is coming to say federal government UN 31 million Nigerians face food insecurity as humanitarian funding collapses. That's a big one from the Daily Global, saying that federal government UN 31 million Nigerians face food insecurity as humanitarian funding collapses. You want to read more? Pick a copy of the Daily Global. And beside it, we have Fubara Eyes September 18 come back as IBAS pushes project's completion. And down below, we have Amechi won't get ADC ticket. Its presidential bid dead on arrival. Wike is talking. And we have this football. The Nigeria bows out of CHAN 2024 despite 2-0 win over Congo. And down below it, we have a Dubai election results validated my mandate. Okpebolo is talking there. And there's a big question. Daily Global is asking, what miracle did Obi perform in Anambra? APC chieftain is asking, what miracle did Obi performed in Anambra. Well, you want to read more of the stories of the headlines I read to you? Pick a copy of The Nation, Vanguard, The Punch, Daily Global, and the Nigerian Tribune to read more. Coming up next will be analysis with our analysts in the building. Thank you so much for watching. It's still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, thank you for staying tuned on the segment. That's the segment of newspaper headlines and analysis. I'm being joined by Temitope Ishola, an historian, a public affairs analyst via phone call. Mr. Temitope Ishola, a very good morning to you if you're there listening to me.
Yeah, good morning, Mark.
All right, good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. I trust I'm doing good as well.
How is Nigeria treating you? How is Nigeria treating you?
Oh, perfect. Nigeria is doing good. Yeah. It's a good morning. Good morning, yeah.
All right. Let's begin with this one. It's an human angle story. Well, we have this from The Guardian. And floods, lack of potable water was in cholera epidemic in 34 states. And this has to do with, we have crisis dippings with 86 deaths, over 3,000 cases. Zamfara account for 32% burden, and emergency could cost Nigeria over 414 billion naira. And UNICEF is talking that names countries second most affected in West Central Africa. So let me just put it to you this morning. How does the lack of potable water, floods, contribute to the spread of cholera in the country?
Oh, thank you very much. To start with, I think the change most likely in areas that have been affected with lack of water is as a result of the absence of infrastructures that enables residents in this community at their disposal. I believe that cholera is also one of the, how I call it, the fast diseases or sickness that spreads very fast. Is we can pick it up from one person to another. Really quick ways these cares are taking. Sometimes they talk about sanitation issues, healthy practices and the likes. But water itself generally, the use of mankind, something that helps us on a daily basis to clean up, to eat, to do a lot of things. The absence of it in it, not only maybe cholera, but there's multiple other sides. The absence of water is is something that should need to be allowed. And I think if we look at the LGBT goals and a lot of global initiatives, it is all targeted towards ensuring that some of them are targeted towards ensuring that water is a basic necessity that communities and societies have access to at all times because it helps a lot.
All right, let's quickly look at this. What measures do you think the health authorities should take to contain this outbreak?
Okay, yeah. So I believe that there are existing health protocols in place to basically keep to an end the spread of cholera and the likes. And I believe that part of the things that governments or the agencies or societies can ensure to do would be to ensure that the existing laid down protocols that guide how health professionals engage with and contain cases like this are followed through. But beyond that, I believe that infrastructures needed in terms of pipe-borne water, clean water, and even other medical facilities or equipment around the societies should be made available. And I think more importantly also, sensitization is very key in this as well. A lot of residents, citizens are not even aware or conscious about what these diseases are or the effects or the things that causes these diseases themselves. So I believe some of these are also tailored or connected to the practices of individuals within this community. So as much as we might be quick to say the government needs to do this or the government point fingers at the government, I believe that citizens also have their own parts to play because the safety, both security-wise and health-wise, of the country is a two-way thing. The government has its parts to play, the citizens have their own parts to play because even if the government provides all the necessary facilities as you may want to postulate and communicate, the people themselves also need to understand their own roles to play, their own parts to play in all of this, and ensure that both efforts on both ends meet at a point where everybody is conscious enough of their roles to play. But to wrap on this, definitely I want the government in clear terms to provide resources for them, empower the medical practitioners as well that are currently dealing with the ongoing scourge in the country, and as well as sensitize the citizens, their part to play, personal hygiene, what to eat, not to eat, waters to drink, not to drink. And I believe that if this is followed through within a short time frame, we should be able to get over the current challenges we have with regards to the outbreak.
All right. In your own opinion, let me just ask, do you think these measures on ground are effective?
Just come again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes, I'm asking, the health authorities are on ground and they have put some measures on ground as well. And in your own opinion, do you think those measures are effective?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I believe those measures are effective. We should give credit to our practitioners in the sense that they are very sound with what it takes. I think we have some of the best brains and minds in the country and in Africa and even the world at large. And looking at the the measures already outlined, it's clear that these are world-based practices. But I know we also have to just also kind of domesticate these practices and be conscious of the realities of our own space and communities. So, but overall, it's something it's a good place to start from. And obviously, I expect that they continue to review on the basis of events on a time basis, how it's happening, to adjust whatever needs to be adjusted. We are the same country that fought off Ebola, and the whole world practically came down to check how we're able to manage it. So I have full trust in the health practitioners currently at work.
All right, thank you. Let's leave that and head straight to Vanguard. Vanguard with this headline is coming with this one. U.S. reports raises concerns over security justice in Nigeria. So many riders there. But then, let me just put it to you. What implication do the U.S. government concern over insecurity? I mean, what implication do the U.S. government concern over the security and delivery in Nigeria have for the country's international relations and reputation?
Yeah, I think Nigeria has to pay close attention to the insecurity challenges. First, it's a sad thing that in Nigeria alone, in a country that is supposedly not at war, we have IDP camps set up across the nation, especially in northern parts of the country. That is questionable. It's a big slap on the security architecture of the country. And things like this is basically what countries globally look at and helps them to make informed decisions as to who and what the country is. For instance, when you look at the wars currently ongoing in other parts of the country, other parts of the world, let me use the Gaza, Israel crisis. You can see the influx of people coming out of that place. And that's the same thing that is going to happen, or that is already happening gradually in the African home front, and not even talk of Nigeria. Nigeria is the largest country in sub-Saharan West Africa, the largest black nation. Nigeria having issues is also a cause of problem to the world at large, because there's a potential for unmitigated immigration into many of these other countries, with people running out because of insecurity. So I believe that the countries, the USA and global countries, have interest in Nigeria and in ensuring that Nigeria remains safe. But on the home front, we have to nip insecurity in the bud. I think there's a quote credited to the late head of state, Sani Abacha, that says that if insecurity should last more than 24 hours in the country, then the government must definitely have a hand in it. And I believe the current security challenges in the country has gone on for too long that they just need to figure out. We keep hearing amounts of millions, billions of dollars spent on procuring hardware, security hardware, and there seems not to be any sign that this is going to reduce or get abated. But definitely, beyond just speaking, I believe that Nigeria needs to embrace the support and the help from countries that have figured it out how to deal with insecurity and try to get this done. We should feel safe at home, and we shouldn't also let the global world keep looking down on us as people that cannot manage their affairs very well.
All right, Temitope, let's quickly look at this. We have this reports that we recorded 331,035 cases of rights violations, and we have 375 killings in July, according to NHRC. So let me just put it to you, what are the underlying causes of enforced disappearances and arbitrary detention in Nigeria, and how can this be addressed?
I think it's the fact that there is no respect for the rule of law in the country. We've allowed a lot of wrong attitudes and actions to become the norm in the country. There's no regard for rules. There's no regard for the written laws, constitution. Men in uniforms presume that they are above the law or above citizens and act arbitrarily. I believe it's a cultural issue over here in this part of the world. There's a culture issue when it comes to how the laws are being applied and being processed and followed through. On no account should security outfits officials, no matter the offense that an individual has committed or persists to have committed, that should warrant a very, should I call it, I'm looking for a very nice word, but let's say to go about the way they are doing it currently, where you just pick up people without taking them to court, or just presuming people based on their image and classifying them as criminals and the likes. And we should not even forget also that as this is happening side by side, we also have a justice system that is also struggling. So even when arrests are made and the likes, the courts are also a bit overwhelmed with cases backdated, outdated, and the system is just not working, basically, especially when we look at law enforcement and the like. So, yes, are there criminals that have committed crime? Obviously, but we also cannot discountenance the fact that there are also individuals that have been picked up wrongly, either based on presumption and also the platform to be able to express their views. So what do we do, or what should be done next? Having highlighted these problems, I would say the government needs to have a holistic review of the processes that have been put in place. I believe most of the rules and processes that have been applied currently are not global standards.
Okay.
They should reorientate, retrain our officers that are kept at the helm to manage all of this in such a way that the dignity of Nigerians are preserved, even when, the law says that you are presumed guilty until proven otherwise in the court of law. So that should be accorded to people. We've seen how EFCC has misbehaved over time.
All right.
Or on the basis of picking people up. So I believe more orientation needs to be done. And the officials, the government officials that are at the aim of ensuring things work well, should jump harder on those officers that go out of context.
All right, let's quickly touch. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, let's quickly touch this before I let you go this morning. From Punch, we have capital projects crumble as states cut spending. So the findings from states' second quarter budget implementation reports that capital spending across many states remains significantly below expectations, despite ambitious... Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, many states remain significantly below expectations. Despite ambitious budgetary provision designed to accelerate infrastructure growth. So let me put it to you, what are the primary reasons behind the decline in capital expenditures by state government in the first 5 months of the current financial year?
I struggled a bit with that question.
Okay. It's a Punch newspaper that has this headline that capital projects crumble as states cut spending. So I am putting it to you that what are the primary reasons behind the decline in capital expenditures by the state government in the first 5 months of the current financial year?
Okay. Let me respond based on what I think I heard.
You heard.
When it comes about, I believe you're asking about the capital expenditure from state government, the decline in it.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes. The state's government.
Oh, okay. Capital expenditure. I think because of the fact that governments have been a bit quiet about how they go about the implementation of budgets, figures and reasons are a bit sketchy in the Nigerian home front. I think the most we see when it comes to budgetary is when budgetary allocations are being made and figures are being announced. But I think there's a lack of priority also on things. And why do I use that approach? Oftentimes, when you look at state governments, you see that they are a bit more focused on paying salaries, sustaining themselves just to pay salaries, just to get by. So they believe spending on capital projects might not give them the immediate, maybe political return that they want or what they want, or even on the state's pocket itself.
All right.
To get constructions done, to set up stores, you have to pay and let out millions of naira to electricity to them. And most of these states are not well financed, as the case may be, in terms of either their internally generated revenue and the like. So
Temitope Ishola, I will need to pause. We'll need to pause right here. Thank you so much because of our time. Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a
All
pleasure
right.
always being it.
I wish you a great day.
All right. Same here.
All right, we've been speaking with Temitope Ishola, a public affairs analyst, and we so much appreciate you for your thoughts there. Well, that's where we will leave it this morning on newspaper headlines and analysis. Well, do well to join us or do well to comment on every of our program via www.dominion.org.ng and, of course, across our social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominioncast. Of course, coming up next is a big story. Thank you so much for staying with us. Good morning.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Big Story on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan. Kwame Nkrumah, president of Ghana from 1960 to 1966, is credited with coining the term neocolonialism, which appeared in the 1963 preamble of the Organization of African Unity Charter and was the title of his 1965 book, New Colonialism, The Last Stage of Imperialism. Across the African continent, the wave of political independence in the mid-20th century was celebrated as a turning point, a moment when nations took their destinies into their own hands. But decades later, many argue that while the colonial flags may have been lowered, new forms of control and dependency have taken root. This is what scholars and thinkers refer to as neocolonialism. From every reliance on foreign aid and mounting debt burdens to the dominance of multinational corporations and the subtle influence of global powers on African policies, neocolonialism continues to shape our economies, our cities, and even our everyday lives. To help us unpack this crucial subject, we are joined by Dr. Monsuru Olalekan Muritala, Associate Professor and Acting Head of the Department of History at the University of Ibadan. Dr. Muritala is a specialist in economic and urban history, and his insight will guide us as we explore the topic, neocolonialism in Africa, unmasking the new chains of dependency and charting a path to true independence. Welcome on board, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
It's so good to have you on board this morning. All right, let's start from this very question. Doctor, can you please help us define or maybe conceptualize new colonialism? Because a lot of persons mix it with classical colonialism. Can you help us make that clarification before we move forward?
Thank you very much. The concept of new colonialism did not just emerge. Of course, the background to it is the fact that at a point in time in the history of African territories, they experienced colonialism. And of course, colonialism, we all know that it's had to do with, the control of the political control, economic and cultural control of the people of Africa by foreigners, specifically the Europeans at that period. And then it got to a point, the African countries got their independence, or I can say African territories, and then they became independent countries. And so that in itself actually elicited that thoughts by Kwame Nkrumah of blessed memory. Because, the decade between 1960 and 1970, I would say, was a decade of contradictions for Africans. Why? Because it was that decade, that most African countries got their independence from their colonial masters, okay? And in that same decade, most of these countries also lost their independence via coup d'etat, okay? And that marked a new journey for the African people to be controlled indirectly by their ex-colonial masters. So when you talk about neo-colonialism, you are talking about, a new phenomenon, a situation whereby the African people are being controlled indirectly, mostly economically and culturally this time around, by their ex-colonial masters. And then, well, if you take it back to the 1970s, the 1980s, we can be talking about neo-colonialism, limited to the Europeans. But of course, if you are now talking about the present time, no, it has moved from the control by the ex-colonial masters to the developed nations. Are you getting the point now? Okay. Developed nations in this context, we are talking about those countries, some of them that even they were in the same situations with African people. I'm talking about countries of Asia. Do you understand now? Yeah. Countries in Asia that they were in the same situation with the African people in the early stage of independence in the 1960s, in the 1970s. But they have since moved and they have joined the developed countries. So in other words, if you are talking about neocolonialism, neocolonialism is, that indirect control, through economic and cultural, control by the developed nations, not limited to ex-colonial masters, not limited to Europeans. I don't know.
All right, I think you've been able to answer that question to the best of my understanding. So let's look at this. Some scholars have argued that neocolonialism worked perfectly or is working perfectly in African countries because of underdevelopment, while some scholars have said it is working because of the greed of the African leaders. Can you help me make sense of that?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, you know, you talk about neocolonialism, it cannot be discussed in isolation from, you know, the development and underdevelopment issue. Are you getting the point now?
Okay.
So, I mean, development and underdevelopment now. If you take development, what do we call development? Okay? You know, development ordinarily, you know, simply put, will mean a situation whereby there is a rise in the standard of living of a given population. And that, you know, that particular population or people must have gone through what we refer to as institutional, you know, change and structural transformation. Institutional change and structural transformation that enables, you know, natural resources to be judiciously and fully utilized, you know, to enable them to have a kind of, you know, standard of living that is decent.
Okay.
Now, if you look at African countries, after independence, you know, during the colonial period, yes, there were agitations that, you know, they would like to be independent and all of that in order to take control of all these things by themselves, in order to have a better standard of living, better control of the politics, I mean, their own diluted culture, you know, to reverse it and all of that. But after independence, what have changed? So, going back to your question, yes, the truth of the matter is that, you know, this indirect control by the developed nations, you know, they have actually, you know, structured it in such a way that the African people will be perpetually dependent on them. And the African rulers themselves, you know, talking about greed, you know, you say some scholars have argued that these, I mean, what we could trace to that should be the greed of the African leaders themselves.
Yes.
You know, development now, we are looking at two things now. Why is it that African territories are dependent on the developed nations? Why is it that African countries are underdeveloped? Are you getting the point now?
Yes.
There can't be development if there is no political will. Development, in the real sense of it, you measure it through economic and social needs. Are you getting the point? But then, it cannot be looked in isolation from political will. It is also political. Why? Because leadership matters. It is about choice. It is about political will. Yeah. The African leaders, over the years, we have discovered, majority of African leaders, they are, you know, successive African leaders, they have not exhibited that commitment to development. They are, you know, they are exhibiting commitment to development will mean that they are more concerned, you know, about how to judiciously utilize their resources, their natural resources, conserve it without wasting it, to achieve, you know, a level of standard improvement in standard of living of their people, and without compromising a situation whereby the future generation will also have the ability to also improve their own needs. That is, you know, without wasting these resources.
Okay.
And so now, let's begin to look at it from that perspective. That is one perspective, is, you know, economic centered. Do you get it now?
Yeah.
And then you cannot talk about development without talking about human centered. Is human centered. Is development is human centered. Development is environmental centered. So the first one that I mentioned, to what extent have the African rulers, you know, judiciously utilized their natural resources? Let's ask ourselves. Let me take just a few examples.
Okay.
And that is why we are talking about, neocolonialism, even in the 21st century, which is supposed not to be. Now, I mentioned political will, and I said choice. Political will because it takes a visionary leader. It takes a leader that is driven by mission and vision to conceive an idea that this is what I want to achieve for my country. Are you getting the point now? And so that leader will now back it up with exemplary leadership. There must be traits of that exemplary leadership. And so if we take the example of Nigeria, for instance, yes, Nigeria today is well blessed in terms of natural resources, okay? From oil to good arable lands, that you can farm and all of that, okay? And then there are other solid mineral resources that are even yet untapped. Now, let us look at it, because I mentioned, effective utilization and management of natural resources.
Yes.
Now, to what extent in Nigeria have we managed our natural resources? Take the oil, for example. This is Nigeria. The oil that we are blessed with, how far have we managed the oil that we are blessed with? You and I know what has bedeviled the oil industry of Nigeria up to this point that we are talking about. The money realized from oil for many years ought to have been diversified into some other meaningful areas, that would have probably, impacted on the standard of living of the Nigerian masses. But of course, the rhetorics over the years, look at the time we got independence, and up till now, we have not been able to boast of our own brand. Tell me that product that Nigeria can boast of that is being exported, that is in high demand in other countries of the world. Do you get the point now?
Okay.
If you take, some of these countries now, some will tell you that, oh, my brand is Toyota, and then Toyota is consumed everywhere. Do you know what that tells us? That once you have a brand, then you conserve your, you conserve your foreign exchange reserves. So the oil itself, we have not been able to make judicious use of that natural resources. And that is why some scholars have said they are, they just came up with the opinion that the oil is not even a bless, but don't let me say that is a cause. Okay. Do you get it now?
Okay, but that is what blessing. Nigeria is dependent on for budget, which is affecting us right now.
That is what I'm saying. There's low production. If you just take the oil, there should have been a kind of diversification into plantation farming. Okay, we are blessed with lands for agriculture. And then now, when you are talking about managing resources, because I'll emphasize that, when you are talking about managing resources, we are very careless at that. Now, the new, because if you look at the title of today's discussion, you're talking about unmasking the new chains of dependency. And then you chart a path to true independence.
Yes.
Now, the new chains of dependency. What do we mean by this? We are talking about another ways through which these developed nations are controlling African countries. Do you know that the developed nations, they are now around the so-called developed countries, they are around taking over our lands one by one in the name of investment, in the name of foreign direct investment, okay? And then we, the owners, we are not doing anything. We are not so concerned. And one thing is that you cannot remove the technology in all these. I give an example. Look at the Chinese now. The Chinese are everywhere in Nigeria. Okay? Under these auspices of, attracting foreign direct investment, then you have them around. We have created different, what do you call it? Free trade zones. Free trade zones to accommodate foreign investors. So the Chinese are everywhere buying land. And before you know it, they are not buying land, just for agricultural purposes alone. They must have deployed technological devices to also determine the mineral resources that are buried deep down the ground. And then once a land is purchased, the owner automatically will be the owner. Of course, government can. There are some mineral resources that it is government that will be in total control of it. But the question now is, even before the government get to know about this thing, they would have mined illegally some of these minerals.
Okay, some politicians have argued, sorry to quote you, that these people, despite the fact that, okay, they are taking over our lands, they provide job opportunities for Nigerians. What do you make of that angle?
Thank you very much. You see, when you are talking about job opportunities, the question, well, I have to answer your question, so I don't have to come up with a question.
Okay.
But we can ask ourselves, in terms of providing job opportunities, is it that Nigeria or other African countries do not have the ability or the capability? Look, let me tell you something. It takes controlling your resources. It takes, you know, coming up with technology that is responsive to the environment. What we see today about the development of the Western world, all these technological devices and innovations, you know, we are now in the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
That is driven by technology.
Yes.
All these things that they designed, they evolved, is because they responded to their environmental needs. And then the other countries of the world will just key into that blindly without factoring if those things are really good for their environment. So if you are talking about these people providing employment, yes, there is no doubt about that. They are providing employment because we have created a platform for them to be the ones to provide employment for our teeming population. Over the years, what have we been doing? Let me give you, you know, we just talked about the oil, the money generated from oil reserves. You and I know that in this country, there are individuals that are owners of oil well. That is one. Why? Do you get it now?
Yes.
You and I know that beyond Nigeria, in Africa generally, I give you examples, you know, even Congo, Kinshasa, where you have the large deposits of solid minerals, the large deposits of critical minerals. There are some minerals that I refer to as critical today because they are critical because they are in high demand for the new technological innovations that the Europeans are into. Manufacturing of phones, manufacturing of robots, manufacturing of what have you. You know, these minerals are in commercial quantities in Congo, Kinshasa. But the point is they are mostly illegally mined. They are also mostly, you know, in the global market, what is given to them in return falls short of what is expected of them. So the thing is, why is it that African people cannot take their destiny into their hands? I'll quickly give you an example that we can do it. We have had cases in the past, and we also have examples around us. I'll quickly take the example of Nigeria now, okay? Now, look at the Western region under Chief Obafemi Awolowo. You know, he conceived of an idea. You know, he was a visionary leader, and even by the time he conceived that idea, and he left the stage as the premier of the Western region, and Akintola took over from him. Okay, yeah. The two, regardless of the political whatever differences between them, Akintola continued in that direction, and he delivered. So, and then Western Union, Western region, sorry, at that period could boast of so many things, you know, infrastructure of development. The Cocoa House, the first television station, industrial estates. What that tells you is that African people, the capacity is there. Do you get it now? Okay. The resources are there. What we require is the political will and that commitment to development. That's why I said anything development is about choice and political will. Development is, you know, economic centered and social centered, but you cannot leave politics out of it. So what that tells you is that the superstructure is very important. The forms of government in a particular country or in a given population, the form of government, the patterns of behavior of the people, and the belief system will go a long way in shaping their development drive. We don't have problems, you know, as a people in Africa. Yes, talking about greed, you know, African leaders, especially during the period of the military administration, in Africa, you know, the African leaders have been synonymous with greed, you know, this primitive accumulation. And that is one problem.
Okay, apart from greed, some scholars have also argued that, some of these African leaders, subjected themselves to that control because of threat. Because we have seen cases whereby, some African leaders, were, removed out of office, with issues there and there. What can you, say about that, apart from greed?
Well, yes, to a certain extent, because, I mean, we had the late Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, okay, of course, African leaders hosted out of offices. There has been, a kind of allegation pointing in the direction of the Western world. It's been alleged that they were responsible for the removal of some African leaders that were performing very well and all of that. Yes, there could be threats in quotes, to a certain extent, which you and I, we are not too sure. Do you get it now?
Okay.
But we are talking about indirect control now. But what I want us to know is that, like the Yorubas will say, if the wall does not open this thing, the lizard, will not enter. So you have to, first of all, put your house in order. Do you get it now?
Okay.
You need to African leaders need to wake up and put their house in order. You cannot be talking about development in a situation whereby you don't have that labor pool that can drive development. Development is human-centered. I give an example. You need qualitative, labor force, qualitative human capital to drive development. And that is why knowledge is very important. So the African leaders themselves, they have been careless over the years. As a result of their carelessness, they've not been able to, assert that their independence, and they made themselves, vulnerable to indirect control. So if you are not talking about threats, it's a function of, okay, look at what is going on now in Burkina Faso. Yes, people have, we have had different kind of perceptions, concerning that, it's going to be for a while. The young man will succumb to threat from Western world and all of that, just, trying to draw examples from what from past experience. Do you get it now?
Yes.
But you see, what we are saying in the real sense of it is that there should be an attempt first. You have to put your house in order. If you don't put your house in order, if you don't set that path or that target for yourself, then you are not likely to be there. Now, I give an example. Education is very key. What has been the role of African leaders in terms of providing qualitative education to the generality of the masses? Without going far, let us look at our country, Nigeria. Do you get it now?
Okay.
This is 21st century, and we are talking about 21st century that the global world is experiencing fourth industrial revolution. And the fourth industrial revolution is technological driven. Everybody is shouting AI, artificial intelligence, this and that. I laugh. Do you get it now?
Okay.
Because like I once, I mentioned it not quite long today, that when you are talking about technology, you have to factor into it the technology that is responsive to your environment. In other words, African leaders will have to look inward and then respond to their environmental demands. And then, after that, produce what will make their people to be comfortable, improve their standard of living, and then you go into the international world market, not as subordinates. The relationship between African countries and the Western world and the so-called developed countries, the relationship has been that of an equal, it has been an unequal relationship. We are not equal partners, okay? Don't forget that even during the period, during the colonial period, why they came to Africa, I'm talking about the Europeans now, they were motivated by three things, They needed raw materials then for their growing industries. They needed large markets for their manufactured goods. And they needed to invest their surplus capital. Do you know that all those things have not changed? They are only modified. African countries have the population, Africa is where the market is for their product.
Do you think that is where these people came? I'm talking about people who engage in neocolonialism and then they introduce brain drain, especially in the ed sector and the education sector.
Thank you very much. When you talk about the brain drain, it's not that they introduced brain drain.
Okay.
African leaders caused it.
Oh.
Good. You see, if today the United Kingdom seeks your, your health personnel, your doctors, your surgeons, your what have you, what that tells you is that these people are brilliant. They are good for their environment. What they don't have, where they are coming from, one is that enabling environment to practice effectively what they have studied in the university. That is one, in terms of equipment to work, diagnosis, machines, and all of that.
Yes.
Are you getting it? Yeah. Then number two, poor remuneration, poor package. Do you get it now? Salary package. They are not well remunerated. And we are talking about skilled workers. These are skilled workers. So what do you expect? It's not that the Western world introduced it, but the African leaders, out of the greed of African leaders, out of their carelessness, because you cannot be talking about development without human beings. It's human-centered. You must have a very robust human capital to be talking about development. Do you get it now? And so people will go to the university, study computer science. Do you know that you cannot be talking about development without data? In the field of science today, big data is a big thing. There is an aspect they call big data. How do you achieve development where you don't have data? Do you get it now?
Okay.
So you have experts in information technology, you have experts in engineering and what have you, and then these people they are not encouraged. So the African leaders themselves should wake up to the fact that in order for them to retain their best brains, they have to provide the enabling environment. This is a rhetoric. We've been saying it, every now and then. People are not demanding for too much. That is one. And do you know that one of the indicators, Human Development Index, when you say HDS, the Human Development Index, one of the indicators is the healthcare ability of the generality of the masses of the population to access good healthcare delivery. When they say Nigeria is 130-something poorest country or 120 Kinikan, it's not that Nigeria is that poor, but it's as a result of, having subjected Nigeria to the Human Development Index, which of course in most cases is not always 100% perfect. You get it
One
now.
doctor to 10,000 patients.
Do you get it? You have standard. And then how many people can access good medical care? So when you are talking about the brain drain thing, oh my God, we continue. Yeah, the brain drain thing will continue because African leaders are not focused. I'm saying this, they are not focused. Yeah, over the years, until, because it has to be human-centered. Development is human-centered. You must have qualitative human, resources. And so when the best of your human resources are leaving your countries to elsewhere, you see, Africans are everywhere. Go to United Kingdom, go to United States of America, Canada, you see African skilled workers.
Even in the university, sometimes about 70% of Nigerians in a class.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is not that anything is wrong with our university system. Look, let me tell you something. Part of the problem of this, the reason why in African countries, some African countries are actually trying to get it right. Do you get it now?
Okay.
When you talk about South Africa to a certain extent, but then of course our trajectory is not the same. South Africa emerged from being a settler colony. You know the history of South Africa and all of that, how they came about their independence. We have an element of white and what have you. Do you understand now?
Okay.
But apart from that, look at Kenya. They are also trying to get it right. That is East Africa. Do you get it now?
Okay.
But you see, once you don't take care of your education sector, look at university. That's the constituency that I belong. Okay?
Yeah.
Look at what is happening. tell me, you know, university faculty members, you know, well-trained people, do you think anybody will have an opportunity that will translate into something meaningful for him or her outside and would not avail himself or herself to that opportunity? So you are now talking about they introducing the brain drain. No, we search for it.
What about the introduction of scholarship and the likes?
Yes. Now, introduction of scholarship. And that is why you see, you have to give credit to a certain extent to the incumbent president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know. Because, you know, I said something, that the political will to drive things must be there. Do you get it now? Well, he has done a kind of, you know, he has made a kind of an attempt, but he has not met with the demands of the universities, especially university lecturers. Do you get it now?
Okay.
You know, because when you look at what is being given to university lecturers in terms of payment, it leaves much to be desired. It's very sad. And where the university lecturers are poorly remunerated, what do you expect to happen? Where they have, you know, the condition under which, you know, they carry out research. Don't forget, university system is not about teaching alone. In fact, when you are talking about development, the university, there should be a synergy between the university and the outside. Talk about the industries, talk about ministries, talk about government departments, talk about institutes. There should be a synergy between the universities and these organizations, these outlets that I just mentioned. And that is what we translate to development in a particular country. Look, let me tell you something. In the developed world, I'm going to be specific now. In the United Kingdom, universities are structured and they are, you know, challenged in such a way that, you know, every university in a particular year academic session would have one particular major problem confronting United Kingdom to find solution to. Can you see it now?
Okay.
I don't know if you get the point.
I do.
That's the way they are structured. Oh, we want to find a solution to a kind of public health issue. That can be, Queen Mary University of London. That can be their focus in that aspect. Another one can say, we want to kind of repackage the way our bridges and what have you are maintained. That will be an aspect of civil engineering. That is the only way through which development can be achieved, you know. The universities are not just there to teach and graduate students. They are there to conduct research. And the research will, or the research conducted, or the researches will translate into development, would impact on the generality of the masses. The goal has always been to raise the standard of living. So now, for any university to do that, there must be what? There must be encouragement by the government. There must be endowment. There must be scholarships. You know, we no longer have scholarships. Do you blame the Western world? They know that beyond their own geographical location, there are some human beings outside there that have potentials, but they do not have that enabling environment. And that's why they roll out the scholarship. Yes. Let us attract them now. If their people don't know their worth, then we get them. We get them.
All right. Let's really talk about, I think you were very deep about that. Let's really talk about the issue of borrowing, the issue of debt, which will take me back to the leaders. Because I recall there was a time you mentioned, you gave example of Singapore to say that, you know, the leaders were able to bring that nation, I mean, to a very good state. You also mentioned Japan, 70% rocky area, but then they don't even have up to what some other countries are, but they are doing very great. So what do you make of this issue of borrowing? Recently, the Senate just approved about $21 billion to be borrowed again. So this issue of borrowing is another new form of, you know, new colonialism. What do you make of that?
Thank you very much. You see, borrowing, there is nothing really wrong in borrowing, okay?
Okay.
But what is wrong is inappropriate use of what is borrowed. I get to the point. Yes, the Bretton Woods, they came up with the IMF, the World Bank, the Paris Club, and the African leaders. You know, it's like they dangled the carrots. And the African leaders quickly plugged into that. Oh, this is money. Yes, it is money. Let me tell you the rationale behind borrowing and what a lot of people don't understand. And that is why people like Okonjo-Iweala, you know, our own Okonjo-Iweala, who, of course, worked and with the International Monetary Fund and now at the WTO and all of that, you know, we always tell you that African leaders should come and borrow. They should make use of the opportunity of that, you know, having money to do something. This is the rationale behind borrowing. When you borrow, the idea is that whatever is borrowed will be judiciously used, one, to improve your infrastructure of development, economic infrastructure, to improve your health sector. Why do you think there is need to improve your health sector? Why do you think there is need to improve your infrastructure? You need to improve your infrastructure, provide energy, improve your health sector, because your human capital needs to be protected. They need to be in good health to be able to offer their services, to be able to offer, you know, themselves for production. Productivity is very key to development. Infrastructure is very key. Where you have standard infrastructure, you're talking about roads, you're talking about ports, you're talking about energy sector, you know, power, constant electricity supply, and all of that. Do you get it now?
Okay.
All these things are transportation. They are very key to development. Do you get it now? Okay. So the money borrowed will translate into that. They are expected to make judicious use of the money to provide this economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. And then that will now translate into employment for the generality of the masses. This generality of the masses will pay taxes. Are you getting the point now? From the taxes that they pay, from the industries that you set up, you will realize what you will pay back the money with, the money borrowed. Do you understand now? You will definitely realize that money and then pay back. You don't have problem paying. But a situation whereby you borrowed and then 75% of what is borrowed is in the pocket of individuals. What does that translate to? Poverty.
But currently, the president has introduced some new tax reforms. Do you see that, you know, working perfectly to help our economy?
That is why I said, to a certain extent, you still give it to him, except that he has not done much in my home constituency. That is, I belong to the university community. Do you get it now? Okay. You see, that tax reform, you know, payment of taxes, it has to be progressive, you know. Okay. It has to be progressive. Okay. So it will, to a certain, you see, to a certain extent, if we are very committed to it, because commitment matters, and then don't forget behavioral patterns. We have to do away with this belief system. There is this system of belief that, you know, where you work, there must be something extra that goes into your pocket. And that is what is, that orientation is driving corruption everywhere. Right, so Doctor, where you have corruption, oh my God, you cannot move ahead. So when you you borrowed, and 70% of what is borrowed, you cannot even what? You cannot even account for it judiciously. Then you still the same, you are dancing around the circle. You are not moving, you are running, but at the same time, you are still on the spot. You know.
Unfortunately, we have to leave. But before we go, Doctor, can we break free from neocolonialism? Is it possible? What are the means, you know, that we can explore?
Yes, thank you very much. We can break away from it. There can be a path to development. Okay? You can break away from neocolonialism. One is the fact that we must develop that attitude of, you know, judiciously utilizing our natural resources. That is one. There must be improvement in the education sector. Then we have to work on the pattern of behavior, which of course over the years has been the menace, the reason why we cannot move as a people in Africa. So then, you know, all this energy, we have to, because we are now living in the age of, you know, technological driven thing. Without power, constant power supply, we cannot fit into that that aspiration. We cannot fit into that trend. Okay. And so we have a lot, but I know that time will not permit us.
Definitely, definitely.
Time will not.
I think
our time is fast spent.
Definitely.
So,
all right. A big thanks to you for joining this conversation this morning. We really appreciate you for sharing with us out of your wealth of knowledge. We've been speaking with Dr. Monsuru Moritala, who is a doctor and, of course, the acting head of the Department of History and, of course, an associate professor. You know, it's an absolute delight to have you on board this morning. Thank you for joining us. All right. Thank you so much for joining this section this morning. It's high time we see our BYE on the session, and of course soon enough we'll be taking you through the trend watch and the trending issues across the nation. Please stay with us. My name is Oluwayemi Adela. I'm saying good morning.
Ever dreamed of creating the next virus series or telling powerful stories on the big screen? This summer, your passion for TV can become a reality. Our TV Practical Summer Class is calling all future scriptwriters, producers, directors, video editors, reporters, news editors, and on-air personalities. Get hands-on training from industry professionals. Learn to shoot with professional cameras, master editing software, and produce your own content from start to finish. This isn't just a class. It's your launch pad. Don't just watch TV, make it. Enroll now. Spaces are limited. Visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, I welcome you back. This is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan. Thank you for staying with us. This is Trend Watch, and of course, we have something interesting and of course, to talk about this morning. I have this headline that says, not an headline actually, a story, a comment coming from Comrade Deji Adeoju, and it's saying DNA should be mandatory before birth certificates are issued in Nigeria. The National Assembly should look into legislation to this effect. He also said DNA tests should be made mandatory before birth certificates are issued to a newborn child in Nigeria. His post was welcomed by many who believe that paternity fraud has become rampant in Nigeria. I think I agree with him, absolutely.
Why?
Just recently.
Why would you agree with him?
Because there was a report recently to say that the issue of, you are not the father of this child has actually increased. Some journalists did a report.
It has been there from time immemorial.
Or you agree with me that the percentage has gone up?
Has gone up.
Yes, because we'll not start talking about
men will support this, but for some ladies they'll say no, yes, at least. Some people will still come. Some ladies will come like, at least I'm just covering your nakedness, in quotes. Like, I know what you're up to. Maybe the person is impotent, and just for us to have a good family, I need to just sneak out or perhaps get somebody to help out. Then the question is, if it is through IVF, would DNA still bring out?
Oh, that is out of the question. But you were talking about some women trying to cover the nakedness of their... I'm a realist. I'm a lady, fine. But then when it comes to this thing, can break the heart. There was a case that we heard in Ibadan of a man, the 4 children that he was thinking maybe we already have 4 children. At the end of the day, none belong to him. That can cause depression, chronic depression. When you find out at the end of the day you are not the owner of the children.
I understand. Let's quickly take a comment. 1 or 2 comments here. We have Arena_TJB saying that I support this movement. Why wouldn't you support it?
Of course. All right. Another comment
Uncle
is coming
Val,
from... Yes.
Uncle Val 29 saying 100% agreed.
Even King Lolu is saying, as a woman, I agree. Honestly, it's something that we need to cut. We need to reduce it drastically. Another comment from Italo Papa says, at least, no, I cannot read that comment online.
It's not.
Definitely, I can't read that comment online, but we appreciate your comment.
Well, but then, one lady was actually Ebony_Victoria 5050 saying that, what about couples that use sperm donor? Make una no let some men depressed though, because they did it privately.
Okay, I think for that, there must have been an understanding. It's not like maybe the man will be thinking that, okay, I'm the owner of the children.
At least two of them were agreeing.
There should be communication. Don't let him find out after 20 years or 25 years that he's
after he has spent
taking
all his
care
life
of the children. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
I totally agree with that. It's not good.
Definitely.
So whatever it is you want to do, communication is the key.
It's key. All right, thank you for being a part of the show this morning. Please do well to join us same time tomorrow from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We promise to bring you more interesting stories, to talk about, to unpack. And on today, my name is Oluwayemi Adelaku. I'm saying stay safe.
Of course, I am Pat Ait, wishing you a wonderful Wednesday. Bye for now.